and I'll be basically taking you through the basic points that we had to cover for the presentation. Thapa and Ankur Mandal are corporates who are here to hire you, and please listen to their pitch carefully. And if you have any doubts, keep them for the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Morpheus, the perfect world was a dream that your species kept trying to wake up from, which is why the Matrix was redesigned this at the peak of your civilization. I say your civilization because when we started thinking for you, it really became our civilization, which is what this is all about. Evolution, Morpheus, evolution. Like the dinosaur. Look out that window. You've had your time. The future is now ours, Morpheus. This is our time. This is our ruler. And it is on this note that we are about to take the presentation forward. Evolution and the corporate.
So this is what we hypothesized, and we're going to explain how all of it fits together. So the simple question is, why do corporations exist? People come together and form teams when the accumulated capital of what they would have done individually is less than what a team can actually do. And these businesses, teams can be extrapolated into businesses. These businesses succeed because of the power of scale. They simply use the benefits of being big. Any corporation, as it grows, accumulates experience. And this experience leads to better cost benefits for the corporation in the long run. Today, corporate can be used to describe either a separate legal entity with rights and liabilities. It can also be sometimes used to describe a hidden system which is shrouded in legalities and mysteries. And it is sometimes also referred to as a body that exists to exploit the working classes. I'll tell you how corporations develop. In the 19th century, with the development of things like mass production, steamships, and communication through telephones and the telegraph, companies could now manufacture on a scale large enough to cater to a whole nation's needs. Next, they develop media companies so that marketing can be done to the working classes as well as the people who buy their products, and a need for those products can be generated. What is the key advantage of any corporation? A corporation splits the owner from the means of production and the workers, and therein lies the secret. If you look at it economically, it means that all the capital rests with a select few people at the top, and the labor is separate from the capital. If you look at it in the globalized scenario today, it means that a select few countries, called the first world, hold all the capital, they are the buyers, and they dictate the terms to the developing countries or the third world. We now want to talk about a particular example, that of the garment industry in the developing countries. The garment industry is often considered a getaway industry. It means moving from rural agrarian setups to highly engineered setups in a way where the workers who are semi-skilled and rural in nature learn few skills which can later be applied in high engineering firms. It's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship between the buyers in the first world and the sellers in the third world, where the buyers get quicker turnaround times and lower labor costs, while the sellers understand skills that they can use for development of their own country. It's also important because it's a good way to allow female workers who are not very educated to gain a foothold in the workforce and earn their daily bread. However, the reality is very different. The garment industry today is a symbol of exploitation of the working class. Companies like Walmart change their suppliers every year unless the supplier either reduces their prices or improves their quality. Now I would like you to think, inflation every year is not considered. The company wants a shirt that it bought for $2 last year for $1.9 this year, or $1.8 the next year. Think about it. The input costs are going up. The buyer is not willing to pay even the amount that he was paying last year. What is actually being squeezed is the working class. The class that was supposed to be benefited by these garments. We've also talked about how it is very good for the women and it empowers the women of the country. However, it has been noted that the women's wages are 1/3 lower than the men's wages. And women are used because they generally do not unionize and do not raise their voice against the problems that they face. While talking about the unrealistic demands and deadlines, companies now follow the principle of the lean retailing plus fast fashion. Here, they quickly change the fashions as well as the times that these fashions take to come into the market. So what is the impact and the future of something like the garment industry? Firstly, there is something called as a multi-fiber agreement that was phased out. What the multi-fiber agreement did was initially to protect these developed countries from the might of countries like India and China. It allowed certain fixed quotas on each country, like that was the maximum that this country could produce. This led to many countries developing capabilities in the garment sector. Countries like Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam developed capabilities. However, in 2005, the MFA was phased out, and now the countries are involved in a price war to bid the lowest amount possible so that they get the business. There is extreme buyer power here, and the sellers here have very little power. One of the things that we have often seen is that consumers have risen against these brands. So if you cannot see this tag, this basically says 60% cotton, 20% sweat, 20% blood. So people actually were aware of this. There were problems that Nike faced. However, those problems have died down with CSR initiatives that promise a lot but barely do anything for the laborer at the ground level. Trade union leaders have been killed in Bangladesh and unionization is being prevented by the government itself. What is actually happening is there's an Asia Floor Wage Commission that is being set up, where across countries a floor wage will be set up for these workers so that they can have basic standards of living. Thapa will talk about Africa now.
Good morning everyone, I am the corporate. I represent the transnational corporation, I represent the multinational corporation that has commercialized food production and agriculture around the world, especially around the developing countries. Why did I do this? Why did I do this? I did this to remove hunger. I did this to remove poverty. I did this so that no one would ever go hungry in a developing world again. Right? And yet, I am seen as the villain. I am seen as the exploiter. I am seen as the predator who has taken away your livelihood, your land, your crops, your everything, your life. Right? Why? All I did was to bring in something new, to bring in something that is more advanced in technology, in practice, right? In a way of life in itself, right? You people, as citizens of Africa, if I may call you so, you're not, right? So you people have had your own small pieces of land where you used to farm from. Right? A land that's spread across a few acres or a few hectares, which is of course a substantial size for your family, agreed. But then how much further can we go on living on that land, right? There are a huge number of people who have small pieces of land who are not able to sustain their own livelihood on their own pieces of land, and I have the solution for it, right? So what I have done is, I have brought in something called the Green Revolution. I represent the Rockefeller Foundation. I represent the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and I am going to bring in a new culture, a new era of improved productivity and improved crops, improved way of life in which we don't go hungry again because your production is better. You are able to produce more on a smaller piece of land and earn more from it, right? By our methods, by our techniques, right? Some of these are what I'm going to present before you. I'm sorry, what I'm going to tell you are genetically modified seeds. I believe you must have heard of them. Right? So these seeds are more productive. They are able to produce more food for a larger number of people on the same piece of land that you guys own. Except that when your land has been divided into a large number of small pieces segregated from each other, they're not very productive, right? So let's get them all together. We are going to apply advanced farming practices like Mr. Biggie right there. And then this is the kind of production that we are going to see, right? You might call this neocolonialism, but in my opinion, it is an advanced phase of evolution, right? Older ways of agriculture have been primitive and not as productive, and this is the new solution that we are going to propose for you, right? The new green revolution is the new way of life, and I call upon all of you to adopt it, right? And now I am the African farmer who has been exploited by these multinational corporations, right? I have lost my land. I am under a huge pile of debt thanks to you corporates, you guys I think. And that's it. I don't have my land. It hasn't taken away. Why are you doing this to me? I was living a pretty happy life till now. I had my own land. I could grow enough to sustain my own family, remove my own hunger, and then you guys from the Americas and the Europes of the world come in and with your new genetically modified seeds and promises of removing hunger and everything, and then I'm left with nothing at all, right? Who do I look up to now? I have to start a movement against you, right? And this is finally what we come up with. The developing world, farmers who have somehow managed to get through this phase of difficulty, get through this phase of neocolonialism, and we want to dethrone you corporates from your current position. And this is what we have come up with, right? The 7 principles of food sovereignty, some of which include food for all, right? The right to food trade, all right? Eradication of hunger, all of that in the true sense, not in the sense that the corporates promised to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm here as an agent of the corporate world, and I'm here to recruit you, and all of you under our umbrella. Now, before I start, let me ask you a question. Why do you form groups? Why do you form civilizations? Is it because of prosperity? Is it because of technological advancement? Or is it because of harmony? Or is it because of a mixture of all? Now, as the previous slide had said, evolution is the keystone of humankind. We have been forming groups, hunting tribes from the different ages. Here you can see 2 different species, Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons. Neanderthals were the one who were physically strong but intellectually weak, and Cro-Magnons were dogs. As history speaks, Cro-Magnon drive to the Neanderthals through extinction. Again, if we go to the medieval ages, man's Mayan civilization, a prosperous civilization, a technological advanced. But what happened? Because they didn't have the weapons to survive, they didn't have the weapons to sustain themselves, they were wiped out. The third example, the example of Trojans versus Greeks. We can see that we know the battle. We have seen the city of Troy was destroyed. How the pinnacle of technology and strategy at that time, the Trojan horse. And all of these symbolize something. How one civilization conquers others to survive. It's the survival of the fittest. Now, today, we can see there are a lot of civilizations. It's bound by many physical boundaries. We have different countries. We have civilizations according to religions. But these are all gone. Now the new civilization is the corporate world. Our incompetent others, the countries started a World Trade Organization. What they wanted free trade. They wanted every country to harmonize, to prosper. But what it did was give power to all of us. Now, unknowingly or knowingly, they have given the power to us to exploit. There are a lot of different branches. UNICEF, NAFTA, ICSID, DID. All of this, it does what is it gives us the power to challenge them for any exploitation they cause to us. Few of the examples are, for example, if I am working in a different international country, the exploiters, I can go sue them for money. I can sue my own country for money. It doesn't matter if I registered in India, I can go register in some other country and then go against India, ask them for money for the exploitation they have given. One of the examples is the CMS gas transmission company. It's a pioneer of the corporate world. Now what it did was it used to work in the Argentine government for the gas transmission. Now during 2002, Argentine government went through economic turmoil. What happened? They stopped all the connections with dollar. They stopped all increase in tariffs. This damaged our revolution. This damaged CMS gas transmission, and we sued them. And we sued them good for $135 million. Another example, there was a company called Azurix, again based in US and working in Argentina. They had the work of supplying treated water and management of sewage water. But within the first 2 years, they started dysfunctioning. They had supplied polluted water and their low pressure water. But after 2 years, we complained to the Argentine government that the concession rates was not enough and we sued them. Doesn't matter how much damage we did to the health, doesn't matter how much damage we did to the environment, we sued them for $235 million and we won. So in the end, I think we can all agree that the winning side is the corporate side. We are taking over the world. There's no longer any kind of development if you are in a country, if you're limited by physical boundaries. Corporate doesn't take into account your race, your religion, your caste. We take into account your talent and we are winning. Now, it's your decision and yours alone if you want to be on the winning side or you want to be on the losing side.
So it is, again, a matter of choice, right? Winning side or the losing side? The more advanced side or the more primitive side, right? My friend here who was just here, the African farmer, right, was really complaining about the state of affairs today. All I'd like to tell him is that we offer a better way of life that you need to adopt fully in order to gain all the benefits out of it. Let's talk about the, wrong side. Yeah, these are mine. So let's talk about the green revolution that happened in India. It was a big success, right? It was a big success. India became a self-sufficient producer of food and drinks, probably. Yeah, so anyways, we Indians were pretty good, right? Good to go. So why not people in Africa, right? I guess that is because of the lack of education, the lack of awareness, and half-baked measures that were taken, right? I offered you a new way of life, and all you had to do was adopt it fully, adopt it in a proper way, right? And I also needed you people to govern yourselves. I needed you people to form government that would take care of you, and that would also take care of us and help you better your way of life. If they were corrupt and that resulted in civil wars, not my problem, right? I was trying to do good. I was trying to do something for the well-being of you people. And if you people could not adopt it as well, I'm sorry. My efforts were complete in all aspects from my side, right? Talking about the Green Revolution in India reminded me of the fact that it was a new phase in the life of the country, right? It was something that changed the country forever, right? Because for now, since our tummies are full, right, we could eat enough, we could focus on other things, industrial development, right? Educational development of the nation, all right? A nation that is more literate. We could focus on all that. Why can't we replicate the same thing in Africa again, right? We are a nuclear power, India. Why can't the same thing be replicated in Africa? I'm not saying they should go all be nuclear powers again, but the nuclear energy is something that you can invest in if you have time and resources enough to at least feed yourselves, right? And that is exactly the kind of life that we are trying to provide. I am the corporate and I am seen as a predator. But then I'm like you guys, alright? We'll all be classed as the corporate, we'll all be seen as predators. But once again, we are playing a double role here. We are also consumers and we are also the victims. Alright? Now decide, what side are you on? Because you are actually on both sides. Alright? But what is the kind of way of life that you want to support? That is a decision that you have to make. That is a decision that I have to make. That is a decision that many Indians here also have to make. Right? It's all a matter of education. Do you want to evolve or do you want to stay back? Well,